Let's talk about luring your dogs into different positions such as sit, down, or stand. And we're going to be using body language to do this because remember, that is the dog's first language. They understand our body movements, our facial expressions much more easily than they do our English words that we're trying to teach them. So the first step in teaching any new command is to make sure that you can reinforce that your dog does so with your body language, with your food, before you start to give that command a name. So we're going to talk about sit first because it's the most common and probably most practiced obedience command that we have. So I have some food for Drax, and what I want you to look at is that his body is a plane, okay? He's got 4 legs, and so his body makes a straight line in this direction. If I want the back end to go towards the ground, something that I can do to help the dog is bring the front end up. So as I guide that food up into the air, his butt falls towards the ground. Free. And this is why this is one of the easier commands to teach, because we're taller than our dogs for the most part. And so if I have something he wants, like a handful of food, and I'm standing in front of him, yes, I'm taller than him, and he's looking at me to engage how to get the rewards from me, and he ends up falling into that seated position. Free. There are other ways that we can do this to be a little bit extra helpful for our dogs. So with a brand new puppy, for example, I will often take my handful of food straight to their nose and kind of scoop their nose in this upwards and back position, yes, and then reward the dog. Free. There's another thing that can be helpful with creating the sit position in your dog, which is body pressure. So if I were to ask my dog to sit, but I was a bit askew from him or had some distance from him, and he failed to understand that command, one of the first things I would want to do is come right up close and square off with him, because he's looking upwards into my face, which tilts his bottom towards the ground. Good boy. Free. So let's talk about the stand position, which is something that we typically will start learning in intermediate and more advanced obedience classes. That would mean he's upright on all 4 legs, he's not resting at all. So if I have my dog in an alternative position like sit, I don't want to continue to hold the food high. That will draw his nose up into that seated position. I actually want to bring the food to nose level or even just below towards the chest level. So silently, again, because we don't want to assume that our dog understands the English word, we want to help them with their body language. I'm going to draw the food back a little and kind of to nose or chest level, and that's where I reward when he stands up. Okay, so let's do that one again. I'm going to draw the food from his nose. Yes, good boy. A little below where I would hold it for a seated position. And then we have the down position, which is an extremely useful command, especially for longer duration and especially for being out in public. Drax. So if for sit, I hold the food all the way up, and for stand, I hold the food at about the dog's level. For down, I'm going to want to pull it all the way down towards the ground and hold. And I'm going to wait for the body to be fully down before I reward him. Yes. Free. But there are no hard rules. If you have a dog who's having a hard time laying down, maybe because it's a submissive position, or maybe because they're built just a little bit differently, you can reward approximations of laying down, like the butt being down by itself or the front end being down by itself, to get the dog more comfortable and more confident about doing that position. But Drax knows how to lay down, so when I pull the food all the way down, I am waiting for him to fall into the complete down position. Yes, I'm rewarding him here and releasing him. Free. Good boy. So those are luring our body positions, which will be really helpful as you get started in basic obedience.